Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 86 on, what's the date? Wednesday, December, I just looked to, 8th, December 8th. Almost memorized the intro. Welcome to the show. Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. I'm your host, Trevor Ohlsen, for the sunshiny, bright day, the darkest of darkest nights. Good to be here. What's going on? The intros have been falling apart as of late. Sometimes I nail them, sometimes I don't. That's all right. What's going on? You made it halfway through the week. If you feel that way, it's time to get a new job. If you're on the verge of suicide every Wednesday, consider different employment. That's just one option. I'm not saying you are, but man, the whole hump day thing, I don't know, I just feel that always kind of bothered me. The whole, thank God the week's half over. It's like something clearly is wrong. It'd be like having sex and like halfway through. If life was like just one big, fuck fest, halfway through you'd be like, oh, God, this needs. Thank God we're halfway. It's like clearly the sex is not going well. Things are dry. I don't know, something's not. Your dick's not getting hard. Things aren't going well. So. If you're halfway through your week this Wednesday and you're contemplating, if you're ridden with anxiety and you're frustrated with everything, maybe it's time to lube up. I don't know, do something different, get some ED medication. You can go to all that stuff's taken care of now. You got Roman, based off the Roman Empire. You've got you don't have to lose your hair anymore. That's the thing. You don't have to be bald or have a soft cock anymore. You can just be walking around with a fucking heart on, full head of hair, just dancing on your shoulders, walking around, bumping into people with your cock. Hey, I'm 65. Don't look at that 65-year-old with that huge head of hair and that stick in his pants. Okay. Good to be here. It's a real pleasure. Every time I do this show, that dog loses his mind up there. Yeah, good to be here. It's a real pleasure. What's going on? Isn't that nice though? It's true though. There shouldn't be a bald, there shouldn't be a bald, flaccid man on this earth anymore. No more flaccid penises. No more bald heads. It costs some money, but I think. If I was bald and my cock didn't work, I'd spend a few bucks, pick up a second job doing something, squirrel away some money, toss in the old bank account, put it in the old hair/dick account. What if you labeled it like that? Sir, what's the account that you're going to be putting the money into? The hairy dick one? Oh, you want hair on your dick? No, I want hair on my head and dick to work. What if it was this show was just 30 minutes of me talking about that? I'll try. Let's keep going. No, it's good to be here. It's a real pleasure. Halfway through the week, again, if you're filled with existential angst and can't stand to look another day at your boss's stupid face, time to move on. Some change has to happen. That's what Roman's for. That's what. What's that thing? What's the medication called for your hair? It's called something, but that's what that's for. You don't have to put up with that shit. It's not that easy, but I mean, it's doable. That's all I'm saying. Yes. So it's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Good to be here. What's going on? I've been sucked into a few different podcasts. Particularly, I have a tendency to really, when I find somebody that I admire online, I dive into all of their content, and just get really sucked into it. And so I've watched this guy for a while, but as of late, I've been really getting into his stuff, and that's comedian podcaster Theo Von. If you haven't heard of him, I definitely recommend it. He's very funny. He just seems like this cool, normal dude. He's from Clarksville, Louisiana. He's from Louisiana. You know, he's a comedian, very successful now. He's around 40 years old, and he's just this cool, normal dude. And he was telling his story. You know, I've heard him on Rogan a lot, but I got to kind of hear a different side of him on Jocko Willink's podcast. So if you want to watch that, it's just type in Theo Von Jocko Willink and it'll come up. But you know, he talked about his what it's taken for him to become a successful comedian. And he goes into, you know, he gets really introspective, and he talks about all these different, you know, growing up, the different types of adversity he went through growing up, and you know, how he actually gave up comedy at one point. And that really stuck with me. That really surprised me, because you hear, you know, it's a popular catchy thing to say online, you know, never give up, never quit, just keep hustling. Hustle away. My dick doesn't work. How am I supposed to hustle when my cock isn't working? Like, get that fixed, then hustle. And so you just hear, like, you know, quit. You know, quitters or quitters. I don't know. You know, they make if you quit, they make you out to be an absolute horrible piece of shit. And he just openly said, he's like, I just gave up at one point. He's like, I quit and moved back home. And that really surprised me, because he's this successful podcaster, comedian. He's funny. He seems so authentic, and yet, you know, he quit and gave up and moved back home, and he moved to New Orleans and was just working in a bar. And but then he gave it another go and went back out to LA, and like it made me realize, and it reminded me that successful people are just normal people, normal, regular people who just keep showing up and keep working. And it was cool to hear his story, man. It was really cool to know that he had given up, because it's easy to sometimes be like, well, I'm not where I want to be at in life, or I'm not happy, or, you know, I'm not making the money I want to make, or my relationships aren't good, or I'm lonely, and, you know, you feel like quitting and giving up. And sometimes, man, you know, he just kind of reminded me, it's okay to feel that way. You know, we're all on that uphill climb, so to speak. And even the most successful of successful people are on that uphill climb. You know, look at you know, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. It's like they've got more money than they know what to do with, but aren't all of them divorced now? It's like, that's not fun for anybody, getting divorced, and you know, that's got to be painful. So you don't have to go too far beneath the surface to in anybody's life to see the struggle that they're going with. You know, what's your struggle? Oh, I had to give my wife $50 billion. Isn't that there's a comedian out there who jokes about all the richest women in the world are all just rich because they got divorced from their husbands who were super rich. Ladies don't like to hear that. Don't get me wrong. Women are very successful. There's plenty of women way more successful than me, way more successful than a lot of men. And there's also really successful men. It's both. Both men and women can be successful. But it was cool to hear his story, man. It was exciting and funny, and just a good reminder. You know, I have this. It's easy. Me in particular, I have this weird thought in my head of like, oh, if I'm not successful, whatever that is to me, if I'm not where I want to be at a certain point, then I'll never be successful. Like, oh, if I'm not successful by the time I'm like 23, I'll never be successful, which is so stupid. That doesn't make any sense at all. And you have to remember, it's your brain, it's your 23-year-old brain telling you that. So it's like you step outside and you observe yourself saying that to yourself, and you're like, what the fuck do I even know? I'm 23. I'm a child. It's fresh out the womb. And then you're 26 and you're like, wow, 23-year-old me didn't know shit. And then it's like, I'm so much more wise than I was then. But then you realize like, oh, okay, I'm only 26 and my 26-year-old brain is now telling me that I'm this wise. And it's like, when I'm 29, I'm going to be like, wow, I was retarded when I was 26. I know you're not supposed to say that word, but that word, retarded, it's like the Michael Jordan of political correctness. It was ahead of every other word before everybody lost their minds and nobody was allowed to say anything anymore, and everybody got really sensitive. That was the word leading the way. You were not allowed to say that word, and then every other word followed, and now we're not allowed to speak. But I imagine that when I'm 30, I'm going to be like, wow, I didn't know shit when I was 26. It's like, it's that constant change of letting go of your previous self, of moving onward and hopefully becoming something better, something wiser, something smarter, faster, bigger, stronger. Somebody who can talk quicker and faster. No, it's just interesting to see the change that goes on and in yourself, and, you observe that change. And as you all know, it's like if you're 18, you think back of when you were 18. Or when you were 13, especially. It's like 13 to 18. It's like huge difference. And then it's like 18 to 26. It's like probably huge difference. It's like you don't want to be around the people who do never change. The 17-year-old who you meet him when he's 35 and he's still his 17-year-old self, still just trying to bang the cheerleaders. You don't want that. You don't want to still be banging the cheerleaders at 35. You're a creep if you're doing that. You don't want to be creepy pedophile 35-year-old Jeff. You don't want to be that person. If you're still hanging around the high schools, 35, well, Jesus, probably 20, I don't know. You don't want to be that person who sticks around and hangs around, pops into the old high school. It's okay, maybe, when you're 20, because you've been graduated for a couple years. You come back through, you say hi to your old band teacher. He says, what's going on? You see your old gym teacher, your English teacher that you liked, the 3 teachers you enjoyed who actually gave a shit. Maybe the superintendent who's cool. You say, hey, and they ask what's going on. You say, hey, I dropped out of college. Not sure what's going on now. And they look at you with that just angst and disappointment, like, where did we go wrong? It's okay to do that when you're 20, but if you're popping in at 25, 26, 35, it's like, no, don't. Essentially at that point you're on the verge of committing some sort of heinous crime, because either you're going to shoot the school up, or I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you're trying to still hang out meet the Jackie, the cheerleader, you're jealous of her for talking to Timmy, the head of the football team. This is such a stereotypical fake people I'm making up right now. Then you don't want that. You don't want to be 35-year-old pedophile Jeff, And if you're at that point in your life, then maybe you do hate hump day. Maybe you are not hate. Maybe you're happy that it's hump day because it's Wednesday and, biology class is almost out and you can pop on over, say hello. So I used to pop into, at Kingsford High School where I went. I used to go there and say hi to all the teachers I mentioned, my band teacher, my gym teacher, and my English teacher. I had good teachers, but there's always the select few that you become closer with, that you enjoy being around. And yeah, man. But you do that for a little bit. You pop in. In particular, for me, it was always seeing my band teacher, since I do music, and him and I always got along well, and he was fun. He's a good dude. Mr. Shirk is his name. Mr. Shirk, if you're watching this, which you're not, hello. Thanks a lot for putting up with my bullshit. That's another thing when you get older, you realize that you're just a complete, for the most part, probably a complete moron when you were in high school. Maybe not intellectually, probably intellectually, but I was doing crazy shit. I'd sneak into places in the band room. I'd climb up into the ceiling, literally in the auditorium, walking on these boards. If I would have jumped off this board onto the ceiling, I would have fallen in the middle of the auditorium down 100 feet. Would have died. I used to sit on my car window while my friends steered, and the car was in cruise control. Just crazy shit. It's amazing any of us survive. Is it not? Even with all that dumb shit, I was a pretty good little boy. But Yeah, if you're still hanging out at high school now at 26, you can't do it. Don't do it. I went to a football game. When was this? Not that long ago. It was right when it was starting to get cold. I just was bored one night. I had free time, and I was just driving around town, and I was like, "There's nothing to do around here." Just being really cynical about the area that I live in. And I was just cruising around, listening to music. Even that's just cruising around, listening to music. And I'm like, yeah, you're not a loser. You're not a loser, Trevor. You're just cruising around enjoying yourself, which I was. But I drove by Iron Mountain, and there was just like a football game going on, and I saw a bunch of cars and people, and I just wanted to be around people. So I was like, all right. Got out, waltzed on in. I sat down. I was watching by myself like some creep, watching these high schoolers play football. It's like I felt uncomfortable, and I got up and left. I got up and left. I didn't feel comfortable. Something fell off. And then I probably just went home and probably just whacked one out and went to sleep. You know, which you gotta do what you gotta do. It's a good sleep aid. If you can't fall asleep, just jerk off. You're fine. Good to go. You know, in case you haven't tried that method before, you don't need pills. It's gotta get laid, and that's all. That's all. There's certain physical requirements and needs that we all have, and one of those is, it's physical exercise, probably some sort of mental struggle challenge that you voluntarily go into. I think that's really beneficial. Something creative. Not everybody's creative, I don't think, but something that challenges you. That's important. And then we all have sexual needs that, need to be met. Simple enough. We all have needs that need to be met. I do a lot of physical things every day. I'm in the sauna. I'm fortunate enough to be in the sauna every morning, which is challenging physically and mentally. When I'm creating stuff, that's fun and creative for me, and it's also a challenge, but it's just more creative. The main challenge that I partake in on a daily basis is when I head to the old Jiminy Gym with pedophile Jeff running on the treadmill next to me. Happy it's Hump Day. I don't think there's any pedophiles at the gym I go to. There could be. There definitely could be. But they don't stand out. It's not like pedophiles stand out, or serial killers or rapists, like people committing heinous crimes, and, they just look normal. I said this to my mom the other day. And I thought of Ted Bundy in particular. If you're a good-looking man or woman, you can get away with a lot of shit. If you're handsome, you got a nice face, you're shredded up, maybe you dress nicely, maybe you're articulate and intelligent, maybe if you're a beautiful woman, a beautiful body, long, luscious hair, flowing locks in the wind, you can get away with a lot of shit. And especially if you're a woman, you can manipulate men if you want to. Ladies, if you didn't know this, you can manipulate a lot of men. Not all men. Some men have been put through the ringer, so to speak, and they won't fall for your shit. But this is not being cynical against women at all. I love women, but this is just me letting ladies know. Like there's like the ladies out there who are like beautiful, but they don't know they're beautiful. Like if you want, you can just do whatever you want. To tell a guy to do whatever you want. Like I want you to. Oh, I just cut my finger. I want you to, jerk off onto a pineapple. They'll probably do it if that's, if they're like, oh, I want to hang out with you, and you're like, do this first, and like go get a pineapple, the whole thing. Like they'll probably do it if they're into you. Absolutely, they'll be a little like, this is weird. If they don't have any self-respect or personal sovereignty, they'll do anything. If they have no respect for themselves, they will do anything that you want. Ask for money, like especially if they've got a lot of money. A lot of the older rich men who maybe they're lonely, Maybe they never got married. Maybe they focus too much on their career. They're living this unbalanced life. Maybe they're just trying to have a little fun, and so they've got money. They got more money than they know what to do with, and they see this beautiful, nice 24-year-old walk on in, who's beautiful, doesn't know she's beautiful. Or maybe she does know, and maybe she is absolutely aware that she can manipulate this man if she wants to, Things are complex. People are complex. Prostitution, that's been going on for a long time. That's illegal in a few places. I hear it's pretty much illegal now in New York. They don't really care. I know it's legal in Nevada, right? I think. Prostitution's a weird one for me. For me, I can think of I've had a complete change of heart with regards to drugs. When I was little, I didn't know shit about drugs. You're just kind of told, the dare thing, don't take drugs. Drugs kill people, which fair enough. They're trying to help people. But then when you get older and you become a bit more educated, and perhaps you start using drugs, and maybe you just use them recreationally, or every now and again, maybe you take ecstasy once, twice a year at some dance club, and you're not addicted. Your life isn't ruined by the drugs you take. This is coming from somebody who is a sober person. The last thing I did was I smoked some weed, but I haven't drank now in 19 months, which is crazy. But don't really miss it. But anyway. I've had a complete change of heart with regards to drug use. It's I think from the evidence that I've read, and I would recommend watching Johann Hari on Joe Rogan. That's Johhann, Hari, Hari. Johann Hari. It's Johann Hari. Listen to his podcast with Joe Rogan. Listen to both of them. Read his book, Chasing the Scream, and his book, Lost Connections. And for me, he had the biggest impact for me with regards to how I view drugs. At this point, I'm convinced that all drugs should be legal. It's all drugs, what they've done in Portugal, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, all drugs. They're legal. And the argument is that drug addicts are going to use drugs whether they're legal or illegal. And if they are illegal, say prohibition, with alcohol back in the day, when people had to sneak around just to get a little sip of Budweiser. I don't even know if Budweiser was around then. Back when they had to do that, it's if you're a drug addict, you're going to use drugs whether they are legal or illegal. And if they are illegal, you're going to go to some sketchy drug dealer. You're going to get some concoction of drugs, which is not medically pure, and you're likely not going to be holding down a job very well. You're going to have a lot of other problems. You're likely to, if you're a woman in particular, to sell your body. I'm talking hardcore drug addicts. You'll do whatever it takes to get the money to buy the drugs and to do it illegally. But in a handful of countries where they legalized everything and they just gave free clinics, if you want heroin, you can get medically pure heroin whenever you want it. If you're an addict, you now have the drug of choice, your drug of choice. You get it. It's medically pure. So it's safer. You're not getting some concoction of drugs that you're injecting into your veins, which is messing up your body and causing abscesses and sores. And since it's free, you no longer have to you don't have to sell your body. You don't have to you don't have to rob any stores. You don't have to do anything illegal to acquire the money necessary to purchase the drugs on a daily basis. And then you get counseling. They give you counseling and they treat you with compassionate care and they help you get jobs and housing. And it's that seems like such a better strategy. Prostitution goes down, crime goes down, drug dealers essentially disappear. It all diminishes. Things get much, much better. And you don't hear a peep about that when you're young. But also, when you're young, you're a kid. So it's what the fuck do you know when you're a kid? We need to stop listening to children. We need to listen to adults. Kids are running the world on social media. This is coming from a 26-year-old child. But with prostitution, yeah, legalizing prostitution, it's probably the same thing. I haven't given this any thought, so I'm going to think of out loud right now. But, if you legalize prostitution, then the number of prostitutes probably isn't going to increase. If it was the same thing, if it was legalized prostitution, And then they provide the prostitutes with counseling and help and compassionate care. Then they'd probably stop prostituting, and they'd probably stop being being pimped out, and they'd stop hiding from police, and so they'd just be more out in the open, and there'd probably be less crime and less assaults and murders. And this is all speculation. I'm just thinking out loud, but that would make total sense. So just legalize everything. Things will get better. That seems to be the case. But I don't know. I haven't given that enough thought at all. But the drug thing's really interesting to me, and I've had a complete change of heart with regards to drugs. I never thought. Well, I was going to say I never thought drugs were evil, but when I was a kid, I was definitely like, I remember doing the whole DARE thing. Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Yeah, that's what that stands for. I remember doing the whole DARE thing and being like, I make a vow to never use drugs. I'm 7, and I was in elementary school, so I was probably like 10. It's like, you make a vow when you're 10. What are you vowing? That's like saying to some 14-year-old adolescent, like, I'm vowing to never touch my penis. Like, good luck. No boy is going to keep that vow. Nor do you want them to keep that vow, because then imagine if they made like masturbating illegal. What if jerking off was illegal? That would be crazy. Imagine the amount of like sexual assaults would just go through the roof. Bunch of horny men and women unable to please themselves. What if you couldn't please yourself and you were dependent on somebody else? You'd go insane. You'd have to find really some sort of healthy way to release all that tension. And everyone would probably be in great shape. There'd be people sprinting like 10 miles at a time. I gotta get this out of me. I don't know. What if it was illegal to just that thought? Well, it used to be literally illegal to be gay. Like, you used to get thrown into prison. They try to change you. I remember hearing about that. That happened to the famous playwright. Is he a playwright? Author? Oscar Wilde. Is he from the UK? I'm not sure where he's from. I know he went to jail for being gay. And this was, I'm thinking, in the 1800s, if I'm remembering correctly. I remember hearing that. And that was the normal thing. And I was like, that's the craziest thing that was such a crazy thing to me. Because obviously, for gay people, it's been like majorly progressive, in a good way. Like, if you're gay, you should be able to just be gay. Who cares? If you're straight, just be straight. Who cares? If you're whatever, who cares? But man, to be like, we've come a long way from throwing people in prison. That's so crazy. Or the whole pray the gay away thing. Like, try to like reform them. I don't know. That just seems so crazy. Just do whatever you want. Just, if you're not hurting other people or forcing whatever it is you believe in onto other people, just do what you want. Be safe. That's all. Do whatever you want. Anyway, yeah. Look at this. The cameras actually work the whole episode. That's a first. Watch it go out. It's probably gonna go out here right before the podcast ends here. I can't believe it, but we're already about 30 minutes in, just like that. These always fly by fast. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. As always, if you enjoyed the show, you can head over to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen and sign up and get free Saturday episodes. Not free. You can get episodes on Saturday. You can sign up and get like t-shirts and autograph shit and Skype with me, kick it online virtually. Patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share with the old friends, give it the old like, and subscribe. All the shit. You guys know what to do. Subscribe, like it, share it, tell your friends, help the thing grow, the whole shebang. And if you really like it and you want more, you can go to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. I like the new update on YouTube where you can't see the number of people who have disliked any videos. I think that's really healthy. as far, because people get really upset, or people can get their feelings hurt if people are disliking their shit. And you shouldn't be paying attention to that anyway, but it's nice just to not really be able to see it. So if you want, just dislike this video and I won't be able to see shit. So, all right, friends, we'll see you on Saturday at patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. If not, we'll see you next Wednesday. I have a show in Escanaba this December 11th, this Saturday, December 11th, at Lay's Garden Winery at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're in the area, come on by. That's Saturday, December 11th. At Lay's Garden Winery in Escanaba, 6 p.m. Central Time this Saturday. Come on by, hang out, and first show in a long time, so it'll be a good time. All right, friends, keep doing your thing. We'll see all of you next Saturday. If not Saturday, we'll see you Wednesday. Bye-bye.